Welcome everyone to School of Humankind First Tuesday Talk for February. Uh, we are here discussing a very important topic, and that topic is anxiety. So we're going to go roundtable here. And I guess my first question is, what has been your experience with anxiety? Graham, do you want to go first?
I'm happy to go first. Um, I've experienced anxiety in two very specific um, areas of my life. One is as what we typically refer to as imposter syndrome, which is essentially a form of self-doubt. And then the other one is related to being, being a gay man, being a member of a minority sexual orientation. And those are two of the areas that I work with very much in the work that I do. So I've been thinking quite a lot about what they have in common and why it is that those speak to me so strongly. And I think the key thread that connects the two of them is hiding. Because in imposter syndrome, you're so trying to be this thing that ultimately inside you really don't feel that you are. But you've got to put this front up and show that you are entirely capable, absolutely on top of it, absolutely the person that is going to solve all of these problems. And inside you're just feeling like that shrinking little mouse and you're absolutely terrified. And actually, the whole hiding thing as a gay man in a straight world is very similar. You don't want to show that insecurity, that weakness, that absolute burden that you carry from being told by society ever since you realized there was something going on, that you're wrong. You are a wrong thing. So both of those lead to hiding. Both of those cause anxiety. And those are, that's the position that I'm kind of starting from tonight as we just think about anxiety as that original concept.
Thank you, Graham, for sharing. Awesome. Okay, Amanda, how about you?
My experience with anxiety started with at a red light and I couldn't breathe. My chest was so tight and I was like, what is happening? I didn't even know what was happening at the time. I just felt like 100 pounds was on my chest. I couldn't breathe and it was starting to hurt. I'm like, am I having a heart attack? Oh my God, what is happening? Little did I know I was having an anxiety attack. And this was happening more and more frequently. The patterns were showing up. And the patterns that I recognized was when I was on my way to work. I didn't know this, but my workplace was causing me so much anxiety. Why? I didn't know why because I was really good at my job. There was people at my office that I enjoyed seeing, my patients that would come in. I absolutely loved connecting with them. There's certain parts of my job that I absolutely loved, but there was something deep down in my core telling me that this is not right and that I should not be doing this. My body was in full flight or flight mode and I was in survival mode. I was not happy. I was absolutely miserable. Putting on the stage front, just like Graham had said, right? You're being somebody wearing that mask that you actually aren't. So I showed up to work every single day, doing the grind, hating it every single moment of it. And I could not wait to get home and pop open the booze and sit there and be like, oh, thank goodness today is over. And looking forward to the Friday and dreading the Monday. That is, I lived years of that, years of it. And then guess what suffered? My body suffered because I was drinking alcohol and other coping mechanisms that I used. And then the burnout happened. My relationship suffered, not only with my then husband, but my work relationship, my friends' relationship, my family, everything suffered because of it. And guess what? It's all just a decision. I was able to make a decision, say no more. And flip my mindset and change the way how I think and perceive my life. So I completely changed my thoughts and I got myself out of those situations. I no longer have anxiety.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you for sharing, Amanda. Okay, Gabby, how about you?
Well, I think for me, my first experience with anxiety started happening as I was surviving abuse growing up. And then it kind of became a bigger challenge whenever I came to the US and realized I'm an immigrant and not a lot of people like us. And then growing up and trying to figure out who I am, who I'm supposed to be as a woman, there's a lot of anxiety around that. And then, of course, trying to figure out, the sexual orientation, who do I want to be? How do I want to present? How do I want to perform at work and at life? And needless to say, all of that came to a clinical diagnosis of anxiety. That, along with many, many other things, I am not able to get rid of it. I am able to live with it and function very well and be grounded and have my calm and peaceful spaces. However, I do feel that it's like a daily commitment I have to do to myself in order to be okay. Because sometimes it just happens. If I'm not taking care of myself, if the world doesn't make any sense, it just, shows up at my doorstep and I have to figure out a way to be present and learn to take care of myself. So I think anxiety for me kind of showed up at a very early stage in my life and it just kind of stuck around. From my clinical understanding, doesn't really go away in my case, in addition to other mental health challenges. But I do know that I'm able to live with it and have a healthy life and be okay and be happy. Um, so yeah, I think it's been a love-hate relationship and it's been here and I don't think it's going anywhere. But it's a productive and lovely life so far.
Thank you so much, Gabby, for sharing. I identify with what you're saying because I feel like I've had anxiety all my life because it started in my childhood, living in a very dysfunctional home
Mm,
and also suffering from abuse. So that actually makes you anxious, right? Because you don't know what to expect when you're a kid. And my mom's moods were up and down, so I didn't know which mother I was going to have that day, you know. And so that instability, the home environment I grew up in was so unstable that it affected me. It caused me to have anxiety. And then growing up as well, I identify with like, who am I? What's my purpose? Where am I supposed to be in life? And then, um, Amanda, I relate to you as well because going through a breakup, marriage breakup, and then again having to rediscover who you are because your identity was tied up with that person. So then you're starting to really hone into what is happening, you know. But I still have anxiety. I still have to work through it. I have coping mechanisms or I have strategies that I use, and maybe we can share some of the strategies that we use when we're going through anxiety. So maybe people can you know have some valuable tools that they could try out as well. So what are some of the strategies or the tools that you use to help you when you know you're going through anxiety? Graham, do you want to start?
I certainly will. Um, I've picked up some real resonances, at least for me, with the terms doubt, self-doubt especially, and identity. And we may come back to that, but in terms of strategies to survive the day, for me, it's all about being present and getting into my body. Because if you get the body centered, then the mind has no choice but to come back, and then all the emotions start to settle down a bit. And there are two things that I find that really help me to get back into my body. One of them is singing. I sing in a couple of choirs, and when I'm doing that, I'm using my breathing, certainly, but you're so integrated with everything that's happening right from here and up there, all the way down, you know, all the way down virtually to your knees. And if you have all of that working together, breath works and the voice works. And if you are thinking about all of these things that are happening physically, you are connected with your body. And that is a very, very grounding experience.
Wow,
The
that's
other thing I
great.
do is rather similar in function. It's weight training. If you're lifting half your body weight above your head, you damn well concentrate on that. You know, there is no scope for the mind to be somewhere else thinking about, you know, anything else. You need to be in that moment, controlling that weight. And as long as you do that and you get it down and you breathe and you do it again and you do it again, you just get a wonderful sense of presence, and everything else just drifts away, because it has to, because right now your life depends on it. And that's what we feel when we're feeling anxious. But in this moment, you actually make that real.
Thank you, Graham. That's so awesome. Okay, how about you, Amanda?
He totally stole mine.
It's okay, you can repeat.
It's so funny. Well, probably all of us have the exact same answer, but my thing is self-awareness. You have to be completely self-aware with yourself on how you're reacting to the external. How are you internally reacting to the external? You are not in charge of the external circumstances, but you are in charge of yourself and your internal. So how are you going to react to it? And that's, your mind is continuously in fight or flight and trying to keep you safe. Your ego is trying to keep you safe. So then it comes up with all these ideas in your head of, well, this could happen, that could happen, this, but it's coming up with all these stories that have actually been programmed into your subconscious mind from years ago, keeping you safe. So then you're in that anxiety mode because this is how you should be thinking, how you should be feeling. But what if it actually wasn't like that? What if it was actually different? So you have to be kind of completely self-aware of yourself and how you actually are feeling and what could change, what could actually happen. And then you be present and you listen to yourself. You're listening to the inner being. That's why meditation is so important. They're talking about connecting with yourself and the source, whatever you believe in, because they will give you the answers. So when you're connected to yourself and being grounded, you will know. But if you're listening to your ego, which is just a built-up storyteller that has been provided to you since you were little through your parents and society and the environment, you are able to make your own story and your own ability to change this new script. It's like, well, I say, flip the script. Let's change the script. You were this writer of your own story, so let's change it. So that's mine, as being present and self-awareness. And you are able to change it. Lots of different techniques on how to do that too, but that's a totally different topic.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, how about you, Gabby?
Oh my gosh. It's been a journey. Um, I have like many different things that I do. So for work, sometimes I do trainings, first thing in the morning. I go into a room full of people and like my anxiety is just like choking me. So then I've discovered that ice water, like just water, bunch of ice, and I carry that around. the single act of swallowing can help your body kind of take a pause and help your nervous system calm down, so that I'm able to do that while I'm presenting, so that I still look like nothing's happening, but I'm managing and regulating. So iced waters become a lifesaver when I don't want to let people know that I'm super anxious. Um, and then when I know that I've had a lot of anxiety throughout the day, running, question mark. I hate running. I wasn't like, oh my God, let's go run. Like that is not, if I can be home, read a book and be healthy, I would do that instead. Um, and I discovered that pushing myself through that horrible experience of running actually helps my body be calm and get rid of all that like energy that's in my body. Um, I've enjoyed boxing throughout the years. I've enjoyed, um, so depending on like my level of anxiety, if it's like something very physical that I can feel, I have to kind of like what Graham is saying, like I have to be physical and get out of my head in that way. But if it's an emotional anxiety, journaling, reading, listening to podcasts, watching calming YouTube videos, like anything that gets my brain to remind itself that I am not being chased by a bear, I will do. So I've done a lot of weird stuff. I've danced with my dogs and felt ridiculous, but then it helps. And then I've just sat in silence and it helps. So it really varies. I'm always super open. I'm writing everybody's things down because sometimes things do work and sometimes I can't do them or they just don't just because of what's happening. Um, but I'm always looking for, I wonder if that would help. Food, eating healthier, which is a complete struggle because I'm a foodie, but just a bunch of different things.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, I loved what everybody said. For me, I work with teams who have anxiety, right? So, uh, when I'm working with a lot, like 3 to 5 at a time, I get anxious because I feel their energy, right? Like I consider myself like an empath, so I can feel people's energy and their emotions. And it's not good for me to be anxious when I'm trying to help people with anxiety. So my go-to is Gabby, I'm with you. I run.
Ah,
I have to get out of my head and I have to get into my body, like Graham said. So movement is so good for just releasing that. So I do try to run. Do try to exercise. I mean, winter time's not the greatest time to do that. I'm not as motivated. So then I'll start to do some weightlifting like Graham and some exercises at home just to get out of my head. And then, you know what? I'm okay with having a nap and sleeping because I'm emotionally exhausted, right? So I will take a rest. Um, and I like the water idea too. Um, because again, you're getting out of your head and you're just focusing on like, I'm gonna put some nutrients in my body. I'm gonna make my body feel replenished, right? So so I think all of that is really, really great. All these ideas are amazing. Um, what I'm wondering about is like if somebody is suffering from anxiety or like let's say you have a close friend, and they come to you and they're like, I'm feeling super anxious about this. What advice would you give them? Like how would you help them? Who wants to answer that? Graham,
uh, I,
you want to start? Oh, you will?
I'm
Okay,
not right. Go
Amanda,
ahead.
go ahead.
I've had a few of those messages and I'm like, you need to get into the bathroom right now because usually they're at work or something. I'm like, go to the bathroom right now, lock yourself in there and take some deep breaths and do some box breathing. Deep breath in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, out for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and keep bringing that back. And you're so focused on breathing that you forget about what else is happening and your breath is with you everywhere you go. You may not have a treadmill, you may not have weights, but your breath is with you every single place you go. So that is the quickest way you can do it. That's what I tell everybody. And you're bringing
That's
yourself back to presence.
excellent, excellent. How about you, Graham? Do you have some advice for a friend?
I'm gonna look at the longer term kind of picture. That's all right. Because I said, well, several of us have said, I used the word hiding, used the word talking about being more comfortable with yourself. And Amanda, you were talking about ego. The thing that seems to me to really help with anxiety in the longer term is that thing about being more aware of who you actually are, what you actually want, and the function, the role that you want to play in the world. Because if you can become confident in who you are, what your mission is, then you can start to just be more comfortable in yourself, with yourself, and presenting that to the world starts to feel a bit less scary.
Mm-hmm.
The more confident you are about who that person is, it starts to become possible to just, we tend to use the word authentic, don't we? And it's quite a good word because it does mean what it says, but it's so overused that nobody really knows what it means anymore. But for me, it means identifying that person and then going and living in their shoes, being that person in the world, taking your truth, your light, and letting it shine, rather than trying to hide it all of the time or please people, show people what they want to see or what you think they want to see. Rather than do that, just be really certain of who you are and be you. And if people don't like it, they're not your people. If you repel people by being the person that you need and want to be, you haven't lost anything.
Thank you. That was so good. Okay, Gabby, how about you?
Gosh, I can't follow that up, Graham. Jeez.
Pretty good. Ooh.
You absolutely can, Gabby. Just be you.
I think for me, I'm a counselor by training, so like the counselor steps in right away, and sometimes I have to like bring that back. Sometimes it's family and friends, right? But usually like I ask people, what do you need from me right now, and how can I support you? What does that look like to you? Sometimes people, when they've shared their anxiety and their stress at the moment with me, they just kind of want to talk it out and process. So I want to make sure that I'm not problem solving when they just need an ear, to listen. So that's kind of like my first thing. How can I show up for you right now? And if they don't know, then I tend to be a very calm person when there's chaos. So I think that just automatically helps because that we have those mirror neurons that we mirror what we see, right? So if I'm calm, they're calm eventually, which helps a lot for me when I'm anxious and I talk to calm people that I'm like, okay, the world's not burning and it's not ending, right? So I think for me, it's just staying calm and being that which they need, whatever that may be, if I can. And then if I cannot, supporting them and finding that support in whichever way, if there's certain things that I don't know a lot about, or ways that I can't support because I just don't have the resources for that. So then I listen and I just try to say, this is what I do know, this is what I don't know. But we can sit here and be confused together. We can sit here and be anxious together. That's not something that will feel like this forever. I do know that for sure. So let's sit with it right now in this moment, and then it'll pass and we'll be okay. And just sitting in that space.
That's really good. I think you have to, like, some people are not comfortable around people who are having anxiety, right? They're like, get away from me, please. And I like what you said, Gabby, like, because I'm a counselor. So, but I don't know, my approach with my students is that first I will let them speak it. Speak it, speak your fears. Tell me everything, right? Get it out. And then I say, where do you feel the anxiety? Like when you know that you're having anxiety, where do you feel it in your body, right? Because now we're getting into in tune with there's a sign there. It's in your body. And when you notice that sign again, you know that it's anxiety, right? So it could be like in your chest gets tight, your heart is beating really fast, or you get stomach aches, right? I have students that have really bad stomach aches. And so then we're like, okay, so that's when you're feeling anxious, right? So maybe we need to do some breathing. Maybe we need to walk it out, like get into your body. And then once they're calm enough to talk, then I say, what are you thinking? Because actually the thought creates the anxiety, right? It's our thinking that creates the anxiety. But we're in control of our thoughts, but we need to know what we're thinking so that we can address the anxiety, right? Like I'm scared about driving or whatever it is the fear is, right? I think I'm going to have an accident. I think I'm going to fail the test, right? So that is the thought that is creating the anxiety. Okay. Okay. So let's talk about that thought. How come you think that? Why do you think that? Right. And so we kind of explore a little bit about the thinking. And I do this with myself too. Like, why are you thinking that? Like, where is this coming from? You know, you're not that 6-year-old anymore, right? Like, get over it, that sort of thing. Because sometimes when we're anxious, we revert back to our experiences when we were kids. And so then we can change the thought. Okay, what's an empowering thought? Like, how could you think of it in a different way? Or if they're not even ready for that, I'm like, you don't have to. Oh, I talked too long. Sorry. Yeah, you don't have to. Because that relieves anxiety, right? When you say you don't have to do it. It's okay, right? Then you're just calm automatically. Okay, shall we do a takeaway? How about one thing, or maybe you want to comment on everybody, but something that you want to take away today from what people shared. Who wants to go first?
I can go first. I was actually funny. I was anxious this morning. Um, and I just sat outside and I've been cleaning my yard and doing things and I've been catching myself being lost in those thoughts, having like mental arguments with people that I'm upset with, right? And like winning them. Um, just getting really lost. And I've been doing all this stuff that I usually enjoy and take and help myself to take a break from things. And it's just created a lot more anxiety. So this morning I sat down and I was journaling and I was like, all right, girl, like stop this. I'm robbing myself of my own peace and I am just not like I'm sitting here, there's birds, there's calmness, there's grass, like what the hell? Like, why am I feeling like I'm in the middle of chaos? So then I had to really like write it down and I made this little like contract with myself. I will not be robbing myself of the peace and quiet that is around me. Because I am like exactly what you're saying. I get in this thought trains and I get on and I am on board and I'm not getting off. And it is so frustrating. So I think for me was taking that moment and practicing accountability with myself just because I feel anxiety and just because I have this possible scenarios in my head doesn't mean that it will happen or that it's happening. So I need to remember to cherish this calm and quiet that I have. And because I'm an anxious person, because I wrote, because if it does happen, if all of the horrible things that I'm thinking are going to happen, I'm going to have peaceful memories and quiet moments to revert back so that I can survive those extreme situations in my head, right? Then it's a way of kind of bringing me back to practice. Okay, if the world burns down, which today, God knows, I'm gonna have to have moments to where I can go when I'm in those moments of chaos, real moment of chaos. Right now, that is not it. So that's I think that this morning and this conversation just brings me back to, yes, anxiety is a part of me. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. My nervous system's been too shot for too long, but it doesn't have to take over my life. And I think it makes me feel empowered talking to all of you and hearing your thoughts. I think it makes me feel like, yeah, I can take control. I don't have to be, anxiety's little puppet. So, okay, that's
Love
it.
that. Okay. Amanda or Graham, any final words?
I'm going to pick up on the word control that you just used, Gabby, if I may. One of the things that strikes me is that there is a lot of, well, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world at the moment over which we have very little control, if any at all. And it's very, very easy to worry about that and get really, really anxious and do absolutely no good about it whatsoever. And I think there are sort of two fundamental responses to that. And you probably need to do them both in order. I think the first one is stop worrying about all that stuff out there, and just come back to being present and sorting out my garden. The stuff where I can look after this plant, that person, this cat. Get that sorted out, get myself grounded in that. Mm-hmm. And that is self-care and defensive, but you get back control of your own emotions. And then if you're feeling brave enough, step back out into the world and take some positive action. But it has to be really positive and really focused, rather than the sort of general chaos, panic, worry that I think we're all feeling at the moment. So that's what I'm taking away right now. It's control and it's writing your own script.
Thank you, Graham. Amanda?
I'm going to touch base again with what everybody else said about being present. Self-awareness. You have to have self-awareness and able to make any changes in your life. You have to be self-aware of everything, the external. And Joe Dispenza talks about your personality. Your personal reality is your personality. So how you perceive the external and internalize it and project outwards is your personality. You are in control of that. So if you think the world is a horrible place and you see all this negativity, that's because you're creating that for yourself. If you want to change your mindset and think positively, you're going to have your personal reality is going to shift because you're seeking out the good and you're seeking out the positive, because that is the filter you're putting on your eyes now. So your life is going to completely change when you start thinking like that and positively. So when you do start having anxiety, say, okay, how am I feeling? Just like you said, Anne, and start asking yourself those questions. That was brilliant. I loved that. Brilliant, brilliant for them to be self-aware. Start asking yourself these questions. And it's like, is that really true? How can I think differently about this? And when you start thinking differently, all these things are going to manifest into your life of how you think. If you think negative, you're going to manifest negative. If you think positive, positive is going to come in. And that's literally going to change your reality. So if you want to think differently, you have to make that choice and start embodying it and being authentic. And then you start creating that to your life.
So powerful. Thank you, Amanda. I just want to say anxiety is normal. It's actually part of our biology. We actually needed anxiety back in the day, right? It's to protect ourselves. But I want to normalize it, because people get scared when they hear the word anxiety, right? But I want to say, like, it is normal. All of us feel anxiety at times in our lives. with whatever's going on. But I love the advice about being present, self-care that Graham said, and Amanda shared about your thoughts, because we are our thoughts, right? So that even though we're having an anxiety thought, that doesn't mean that we have to sit with that thought. Like, the thing that we have control over is our thoughts. We don't have control over what happens. We don't have control over anything that steps into our lives, but we have control over the way we think about it. And maybe we will go to that anxiety thought first until we are aware. Okay, hold on. Is the way I'm thinking helpful? Is the way I'm thinking going to move me through the anxiety? And so when we become aware, like Amanda suggested, then we can stop, breathe, be in the present moment, and then change the thought in a way that is going to be helpful for you. Like, okay, so what? I don't pass the driver's test. Okay, so what if it's like raining really hard tomorrow? I don't know, whatever you are afraid of, right? Okay, so what? So what if it happens? All right. Is can I still have a good day? Can I still go for my dreams? Can I still enjoy this moment? Right. And then focus on things that bring you joy. Like for me, that's been my go-to. When I start to focus on things that bring me joy, then I can get out of that fear, I can move through it. So when we focus on things we love and we enjoy, it benefits our lives. It makes our lives better. So that's it. Is there can we end here? Or is there anything else, Angela?
Yeah, can you guys each introduce yourself and just give a one-liner of what you do and how people can find you?
Okay. Who wants to start?
You just choose, Anne.
Oh, Gabby.
Well, I wanted to add to something what you were saying. Is that okay? Can I do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know we're trying to end. I just have a thought that came when you were talking. I know that for people that may be experiencing some real fear and some very horrid anxiety because of things that are happening that are out of our control, but that are impacting our communities and our people and our families, I would probably I just want to say that the anxiety is real and that we're not by any means saying that, oh, just think positive thoughts and it'll go away. I think that we have to go back to where we come from. I know everybody has very powerful roots. Whoever it is, I don't care where you come from, you have powerful roots that you can go back to and come back and support and heal collectively. I hope that makes sense. I think we can take all of this anxiety and fear that it's being thrown at us and nurture and heal ourselves so that we can use that same energy and send it back out with love. And I know that's easier said than done. I feel very much rage and a lot of anxiety and a lot of rage again. But I think I'm learning to use that to be able to create community, to be able to support the people that are here, that I can help with my hands, that I can hug when I'm there. So, the anxiety and the fear is real, but I do want to say that all of these things that we're talking about will help the experience right now. And I think as we create more communities and we have more conversations like this, we can use all of that fear that's being thrown at us and we can use all this anxiety and turn it into something that can be positive, which is kind of what Graham spoke to earlier. So I just wanted to put that out there. And I'm Gaby Cadena. I am a industrial and organizational practitioner, and I help workplaces become compassionate and be healthy and great so that we don't hate our jobs. That's what I do. That's
it. Okay, Amanda, how about you?
I'm Amanda Bussiere, also known as Manifest Boss Babe, and I work with high achieving performers that want to step into their highest potential and get out of that burnout, that anxiety feeling and start living the life that they deserve to live. And I am on all the social media platforms, Instagram, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and LinkedIn.
Thank you. How about you, Graham?
I'm Graham Watt, known as Coach Graham, and I work with professionals who are dealing with confidence issues. Very often that's people who've come from a technical background and suddenly discover that they're in a leadership role that they didn't quite expect. And very often also that's working with gay men who are doing the kind of hiding I spoke about before. You can find me on LinkedIn, or my email is mycoachgraham@gmail.com.
Thank you, Graham. I'm Ann Alvarez, parent coach, school counselor, and mother of two. And I'm also the founder of the Masterful Parenting Program. It's an online program for parents who want to heal their childhood pain and learn how to communicate better with their kids, and connect better with them as well, so that they don't repeat the cycle of their childhood. And I can be found on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. I have a podcast called Masterful Parenting. I'm also on LinkedIn and on Facebook and Instagram. Those are all the places you can find me. Masterful Parenting. Oh, can I just put a plug in? Also this Thursday, February 6th, I am doing a webinar for the School of Humankind for parents on helping our kids with anxiety. So I'm excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks a lot, Anne, for moderating today. And as you can tell, we've chosen anxiety to be our theme this February. So it's a good time for it, I think. Anyway, thank you all for your contributions. And when my voice comes back, maybe I'll contribute more next time. So thank you, everyone. Come join us at schoolofhumankind.com. Okay.
It's a joy to be here.
I stopped the